Our next project involves creating the higher-lower game, where you're going to do most of the work, and I'll give you some hints along the way. Here's a list of what your program must have. Some of these things are recyclable. Please pause this video and give the list a bit of a read. Then, if you have time, there's another list of features that you might wish to implement. Your first step for each new project should be to create a folder in your programming file and also to create a repository on GitHub. Your next step should be to create some planning. In the assessment, you may well like to plan on Trello, or you can use Draw.io. Note that a lot of the components that you do in your planning are recyclable, so things like our instructions, our game loop, our end show stats, and even our remember to are things that you're going to recycle in the assessment. Things that are new for this project are where we get game parameters from our user and where our user keeps guessing numbers until they guess the secret number. This project is an opportunity for you to get some practice programming and to also generate some debugging slides that you can probably recycle in the assessment. You've been given access to an HL partial slideshow. In the assessment, you would need to paste in your GitHub repository, and at the end, you'd come back and say which file you need to be marked. I've given you some useful shortcuts, which you've seen me use before. And the first thing that you'll want to do is recycle your instructions component, where you customize it for the higher-lower game. In this slideshow, I've left out the screenshots for testing, and it's a great idea that you put them in, especially for components that are recyclable. We're going to recycle our yes/no checker, and of course the expectation is that you'll put in the screenshot. Here's some of the test plans we'll be using. We need a rounds checker. We need to check users put in any integer for a low number. They need to put in a high number that's more than the low number. And for guesses, it will need to be between the low and the high number. We're going to recycle the looping component that we used in the last project. And then you're welcome to use these test plans to help you develop the other components that you'll need. So you'll want a secret number generator. You want to be able to check the user's guesses. You want to be able to work out how many guesses we should allow them, given different ranges, and I will show you how to do this. One of our nice to haves is to check that users don't try to guess the same number more than once. And then we need to check that when they play the game, they don't run out of guesses. I've got a custom test plan for if they get it on the last guess, and also if they get it on the first guess. One of the things that you will want to do for practice is, when the time comes, create a test plan to check that the entire game works as expected. Note that on the last slide of your partial slideshow, there is a template for a debugging slide. Anytime that you do debugging, and especially if it's debugging for a recyclable component, you should create a slide for that, because some of those slides can be recycled in the assessment. In the next video, we're going to start creating this outcome.